Good day, everybody. We are now entering the panel session on Tri Semaya, which is actually a panel session on the concept of time. So first, I would like to ask our international audience, have you any experience with setting up a plan or meet up with Indonesian or Balinese individual, and those individuals arrive 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, or even an hour after the agreed time? Have you? Raise your hand, please. Okay, thank you. So, based on the numbers of people who raise their hands, I believe most of you, the majority of you, already understand the concept of time. So the panel will be a bit redundant for you. I mean, long before Einstein come up with the general theory of relativity, including the one on the relativity of time, actually on speed, Indonesian people and Balinese people have mastered that theory. We didn't call it the general theory of relativity, we call it jam karet. So time in Indonesia is indeed very relative. Now, but on the contrary, our texts, our traditional texts, our traditional scriptures, our norm and traditional value actually narrated details and describe time in a much better and more profound way than jam karet. And we have three speakers here to guide you into the concept of time according to these traditional texts and scriptures. We are very fortunate here to have Sugi Lanus. Now in Bali, most Balinese address him as Guru Sugi Lanus. Guru is an honorific term meaning teachers. When a Balinese address another Balinese as Guru, it means he considers the other person, this Guru person, as someone who has proficient knowledge on traditional texts. Sugi is the founder of Hanacaraka Society, a philologist, and now carried out a deep study and research on traditional Balinese medicine texts. On the further left, we have a very handsome young man, very single. So ladies, beware. His name is Gede Agus Darma Putra. Darma Putra means the son of the truth. Although he deceived and lies many times in the past, Gede Darma Putra is an expert on Balinese traditional scriptures and was deeply involved in the digitalization campaign on Balinese scriptures. And we have Ravinjay here, who you already got your PhD, you said, Ravinjay?
Yeah, I study and research Balinese Hinduism.
Of Indian ethnicity. So basically, he got the religion from India, and now Ravinjay traveled to Bali in the disguise of learning Balinese Hinduism to facilitate his yearning for traveling all over the world and have a nice, good vacation in Bali. Ravinjay will be the first speaker. So Ravinjay will expound the concept of Tri Semaya. Big round of applause for all three of our speakers.
Thank you. Yeah, very well put. I am Indonesian of Indian descent, and just very much like most of Balinese philosophy, it kind of came from the context of India, but then it came and became localized in the islands of Indonesia that we know of today. I professionally teach Hinduism and lecture on this topic, and it's a great privilege to be able to be speaking with the two philologists, to be talking exactly from the Balinese scriptures what they're saying about the concept of time. What I'd like to point out in the very beginning is what's really interesting is time is circular, time is not linear from the Hindu perspective. When I say Hindu perspective here, I don't really talk about a particular religion of Hinduism, but I'm talking more so of this generic area of South Asia and Southeast Asia, where they all have been influenced by a particular worldview of time being circular. And it's really interesting why time is even circular in the first place. If we observe nature and we observe how the plants and how the seasons change, how plants grow and then they bear fruit and they pass away, and similarly we regrow plants again and again, we as human beings can see how nature is circular in its pattern. So when we say time is circular for ourselves, we're definitely putting ourselves in a higher perspective. Because us as human beings, we see time as linear. We see it from the time we're born to the time we pass away. However, from the perspective of the universe, from the perspective of the bigger picture, or you might say from the perspective of God, time is indeed circular because we too shall pass, but we too shall return. So the concept of time has a lot of relation with the concept of karma, with the concept of actions. There's actions that we have done previously, and that they are now bearing fruit in the present moment, and we're doing more and more actions, which will then dictate our future. So karma and time, they work together. And the theory of reincarnation also supports the theory of a circular time. So it's a particular paradigm that needs each other and is dependent on each other. We hear a lot in Buddhism about how everything is codependent and how everything is interrelated. Well, here's an idea of time, karma, and reincarnation all marrying and making this one worldview that is what most Hindus and obviously what the Balinese hold. So time is circular, yes, but so are actions and its consequences. So we have actions that we've done in the past, the karma that we've done in our previous lives, and that stays on as imprints within ourselves. We do have free will, and that is the karma that we create for the future, for either our present life or either our future life as well. So time can be seen as something universal that governs everything, but we too are in control of our own actions and of our own future and of our own destiny. So there is a concept of free will, but at the same time there is this predestination based on your own actions. So yes, you can see time on itself, but you cannot see time in isolation from your actions, from the actions of humanity in general. Next we have the concept of looking at time, place, and circumstance, what we know as desa, kala, and patra. And these are the three different kinds of categories on which we can then interpret and reinterpret context. So we have ancient scripture, for example, that we'll be reading from today, but we need to interpret them again and again, considering the context and considering the time that we're in. 20 years ago, I bet the festival was very different from what it is now, so we have to reinterpret what Ubud Readers and Writers Festival means to us. Similarly, time helps us to reinterpret again and again. And this happens with culture, and obviously this happens with religion. Religion is not as static as we think it is. Religion is something that we need to interpret and go back again, and again. So we have this concept of desa, kala, patra, of a place, of time, and of circumstance. And that works together with the concept of karma. Karma that we have from before, karma that's currently bearing fruit, and karma that we're creating for the future. And this comes back in the framework of the past, present, and future that is circular in the Hindu context.
Well, thank you, Ravinjay. I mean, applause for Ravinjay. I was very deeply touched by Ravinjay's concise but beautiful narration on time. And being a Balinese, this is the first time I heard a person describe the interconnectivity between times of karma, action, and desa, kala, patra, that truly put human accountability at the heart of spirituality. I mean, it's not a matter of something divine or sacred, but it's something that we, as a human being, created and take its consequences, embrace its consequences. Very beautiful, Ravinjay. We move to Gede Agus Darma Putra. Silakan.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. My pleasure to be here, and my apologies because my English is not good, and maybe my pronunciation also, so it's to be hard to understand, but I try my best. I want to talk about time in Bali, but our topic today is Tri Semaya. But what's the meaning of Samaya? So I look at a dictionary about Tri Semaya, and let me show you the meaning of Samaya based on dictionary that composed by Zubmulder. He is a professor in ancient Old Javanese language, and the title of this dictionary is Old Javanese English Dictionary. So what's the meaning of Samaya? Next. Tri Semaya is a loan word from Sanskrit word that means coming together, mutual understanding, agreement, promise, but with who? Meeting as agreed, appointed or fixed time, and also session, law, practice, doctrine, especially the esoteric doctrine and practice of the initiative. That's from Sangyang Kamayanikan text. That is a Mahayana Buddhist text. And in that text, in Sangyang Kamayanikan text, they are mentioned about Sangyang Samaya, not Tri Semaya, but Sangyang Samaya. And on the other hand, we have the concept about Tri Semaya, and it means the meeting of three. Who is three? Name of the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So we have two concepts about time, about Samaya. On the other hand, we have the concept from Buddhism, and the other hand, we have a concept from Saivism. And next, Tri Semaya in Sangyang Kamahayanikan. But first of all, I would like to tell you about Sangyang Kamahayanikan is Mahayana Buddhist text, which is written by Kusindok, the king from its Jawa between 922 to 947. Cuts mentioned one of Sindok name as Sri Isana Badru Tunggalewa, and its name is mentioned in Sangyang Kamahayanikan. So it's composed by Kusindok, the king of Jawa. And next, Tri Semaya. Who is Sangyang Samaya that's mentioned in Sangyang Kamahayanikan? According to Zumulda, we already know Sangyang Samaya is convention, law, practice, doctrine, especially the esoteric doctrine and practice of the initiative. That's referred to Buddhism aspect. But if we see deep into the Sangyang Kamahayanikan, we could find out one sentence. Sangyang Samaya ta sila sinangguh batara bajra satwa. That is Old Javanese language. That means Sangyang Samaya called Batara Bajra Satwa. And that means Sangyang Samaya is Batara Bajra Satwa. So, if we agree Samaya referring to time, Vajrasattva or Buddha is time. But why three? Why there are three of Buddha? Next. Because in Sangyang Kamahayanikan there are three concepts of time. Atita, Anagata, Vartamana. But what is that? But actually, let's see next. Atita. In Atita, in Sangyang Kamahayanikan text, they are mentioned Batara Hyang Buddha Sang Atita. Sang mangabi sambudan ini ring asit kala kadiangkan batara wipasi Wiswabu Prakucanda Kenakamuni Kasyapa Atita Buddha ngaranira kabeh. Jadi so a Buddha is in the past time are Wipasi, Wiswabu, Prakucanda, Kenakamuni, Kasyapa. All of them called Atita Buddha. So they are Buddha in Atita or the past time. And next, in Anagata, in sang yang kamahirikan, dia mention kunang batara Buddha sang Anagata, sang abimuka mengabi sam Buddha, kadian dan batara Arya Maitreyadi, samantai Badra Paryanta, Anagata Buddha, ngaranira kabeh. So then Buddha in the future are Arya Maitreyadi, samantai Badra Paryanta. That's mentioned by day. Time is not circular, not linear, but past and to be future. And what's Anagata Buddha? That means Arya Maitreyadi and Samantai Badra Paryanta. So next, in Vartamana, we have Tumamwah Batara Sri Sakyamuni. Wartamana Buddha Naradira, Sirata Pinakahyang Buddhan Tamante, Sashana Nira, Dikeng Atita. More than that, Buddha in current time is Sri Sakyamuni. He is your Buddha nowadays. His ethical teaching must be followed. As we can underline this sentence. His ethical teaching must be followed. But who is Sakyamuni? Who is he? Let's search together. Let's next time in Balinese. That is from Sangyang Kamahayan context, and this is from Balinese point of view. Let's go to Balinese people point of view to see the concept of time in Balinese. Here is imagine of time based on Balinese tradition. Next, maybe we see that kala. Kala is time. Next, what's the meaning about that image? So, in my research about kala, I found a relation between kala, eclipse, and earthquake. That is mentioned in Adiparwa. He had drunk, that means kala drunk amarta, was seduced by Ratih, but was shook by Dewa, because his head had been affected by Amarta, only the head was alive. Meanwhile, his body fell to the earth and caused the earthquake. So, this is a mythology about Kala, eclipse, and earthquake. Next, but in Bali we also have a concept about Bhuta and Kala. Kala is not a single, but together with Bhuta. So we call it Bhuta Kala, space and time. And with ritual Charu, the aim of the ritual Charu is harmony. Next, time is Kala. Kala, based on Balinese tradition point of view, refers to a scared creature, that's Rakasa that you see in this image. And it gets everything, including human and word. So we are eaten by Kala. That's why we are going old and died. And Palguna mentioned that is a marker of time. That is a marker of time. This word comes from Old Javanese language. According to Old Javanese language, Kala means time as inescapable fate. That's why we can't dodge from Kala. The mythology of Kala in Lontar or manuscript Kala Tatwa, Kala is Siwa's son. Because Kala was born from Siwa, so Siwa called Mahakala, the Greek Kala. Based on this evidence, Kala Tatwa is Saivism text. So this is a Saivism text. Next, in Balinese we have three resources about Kala, about time: inscription, manuscript, and oral tradition. Next. This is an inscription. First of all, Chunyan Day, the series of Chunyan, they are mentioned about Asada, that's the time, and Suklapaksa, and Sokodan also, Manukaya, and Warsapita, they mention a word of Warsapita, and this inscription contains information about King Chandrabayan Singawarmadewa repair Kitampu, located in Tapak Sylviana. Next, this is some manuscript mentioned about Kala, Gata Kala Tatwa, Sarasamurjaya, Santi Parwa, Tatwa Soma, Uttarakanda, Kalakasan. And the important one, Balinese concept, next, about Kala or time, we have Wariga. Wariga means in some texts mentioned Warah Raga, how we can teach ourselves. There are so many kind of calendars, solar, lunar, lunisolar, and in Bali we use all of them can complement by Paukan. So they are a solar system, lunar system, and lunisolar, and the other calendar is Paukan. And next, Matur Suksana. Thank you.
Thank you, Darma. So, Darma already explained the correspondence, the corresponding nature of time with the past, present, and future Buddha, and also the corresponding time corresponding with the son of Siwa, and how Balinese define time in a singular term, Bhutakala, so time and space, and the fact that Kala is the son of Siwa, and Kala is also equal past, present, and future Buddha. Dharma make a case that time and space in Bali is defined in natures, and to certain extent equal to God, him or herself. Now we have the practicality of time in relation with our action, and in relation with Desa Kalapatra, we have the defined natures of time and space. Now I would like to ask Sugi to present his thoughts on time. Silakan.
Sisters and brothers, I would like to say thank you for the committee of this festival. I would like to give like 5 minutes my understanding on times. Ravi and Dharma just explained very beautiful and very deep on time. I would like to share my experience on time based on the exoteric experience. So it is how Balinese try to ride the time. So how to ride the time, riding time and experiencing time. I grown up from more practical and practice meditation and growing up with Balinese teaching of meditation method. So in front of us, time is always present. Only the concept of the past exists when you start to think about time. So when you experience time, time is always present. So time is never the past. But when we think about time, then it must be the past. And the future itself is about our calculation and our imagination to the time that come to you. So from the perspective of meditation, time is always here. You don't need to think, just experience. Just witnessing what's going on here, that's the time. So time is actually the kala, gives us space to seedling your karma, your action. Times, try to elaborate what Ravinjay explained. Time is we need time to do something, to do seedling our action. But from perspective of meditation, when we see time, when we try to experience time, you need no conception. When you try to create conception of time, then you become divided with the time itself. You have conception, but actually you don't experience time. Because time is here. Time is never the past and never become future. Your worrying, your anxiety create future. Your plan, or maybe try to make a better life, better world, create future. I mean, imagining what we can create in the future, but actually you're still on the present time. So time is always present, and the future is what in your imagination. So experiencing and imagining is something different. And remembering is the tools that you can create, you can use to understand the past. So there are three tools or elements of esoteric practices to understand time through imagining the future and remembering the past and experiencing the present. As a meditation practices, you don't need to understand the future and the past. Maybe you need when you try to collaborate and maybe you want to have discussion or this kind of conference. But when you try to write times to be, let's say, in peace with yourself, because the future doesn't exist yet, and the past is not you anymore. It's past is the past of you. Even though something happened very bad in the past, it is not you. Just remember that something happened. It doesn't mix that you are become what you remember. So the past is the track of our process of remembering, understanding of time, and the future is your anciency or your imagination to a better than now, which is actually you skip yourself from the now, the present. So to be happy, or let's say to be happy, or to be make peace with your mind or yourself, we need to skip from our mind first, because mind is always creating memory, the remembering process, and imagining the future, and experiencing time is just be here present without giving any comment to what's going on. Just to be here. Even though you don't need to make a comment to what I'm speaking now, because you're not experiencing time. When you give a comment to my sentence, you're creating your conception of time, and you try to debate or try to make a question, then meaning that you go to your conception, not to be part of it, to drive the time. So that's a clue of understanding time to esoteric practices. And meditation is, according to Balinese, nidra, or like sleeping, go beyond your consciousness. It's like deep sleep, but you're aware. It's not going to the past or to tomorrow or the future, but to be on time in the real meaning. On time meaning that present, with the present, witnessing without giving any comment. But when I say without giving any comment, you will make so many comments in your head. Just to be here. And that's, I think, what I can share, because it's more into how to enjoy your time, your present moment, instead of speaking about the future or conception of time. So be present. And Pasuk Betu, this is my closing sentence. Pasuk Betu meaning that, like in Buddhism teaching, is Anasanapati, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. This is one method that very familiar with Balinese, breathing in, breathing out, without any comments, without giving comment to yourself or your body, because without giving comment to your body or breathing process, it takes themselves, by themselves, or by something else. Yeah. So you just witnessing in and out, and then you will be once with the present. That's your time. So time is experiencing the present moment. I think that's my clue to the esoteric understanding of how to experience the time itself. Thank you very much.
So, I love this panel. We have the scholarly description about Tri Semaya. We have the philosophical description of the interconnectivity between time, action, and space, Desa Kalapatra, and we have a personal recollection on time, that the only factual time is the present one, and basically the past is only memory and the future is imagination. And Sugi has mentioned about Pasuk Betu, how you observing the inhaling of breath and the exhaling of breath without any judgment for any phenomenon that arises in your mind. So basically, in Sugi terms, riding the time. Now we have the Q&A session. Please, if you have any question and insight to any of our three, the lady in the front, the lady in the second row. Microphone, please. Mbak Henry. Who's the back?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the different perspectives. My question is mainly for the philosophical and scientific aspects. When you study something such as time and the trilogy of such, and do you find it difficult, or how do you find balance in staying present while researching the past, while making it your life's work to talk about both the understanding of the past and the future and staying within the practice of being present?
If any of them could answer that in a very enlightening way, I will propose to be the next Dalai Lama, the lady in green. So,
I apologise ahead of time. Mine's scientific and philosophical as well. I actually guess, from my own personal opinion, that I consider the capacity to be present, to be here and now, to be really with oneself in this space is a really basic life skill. And I guess earlier this week I was at a temple not at Purapatakaru but nearby, and there was a shrine that I think was, the step pyramid type shrine that I think probably predated Hinduism here in Bali, and I was very grateful to be there. I was the one tourist with my Balinese friend, and the only people there praying were 4 local male priests and 2 ladies, and it was just lovely. But earlier on in this year, I was in Spain and Portugal, and I bought a little magnet of St. George slaying the dragon, and it seemed to me, I felt terribly sorry for St. George. I thought, how many eons does this poor man have to ride out on his charger and kill that dragon? And I'm thinking, you're saying about, not dwelling on the past, but we know that for some people, and we talked earlier today about the massacres here in Indonesia, we've got things happening in Gaza right now, that there is intergenerational trauma. And how can we be present, or do we all need Paus and George to keep writing out for us?
Thank you. Jadi silakan, Raffi.
Yeah, I think it's more of a response to the first question. How do I keep, I guess, if I would say it rightly, how do I keep in the present while learning about the past? Would that be nice? It is actually such an honor for me to go and study the ancient scriptures. And I really do feel how the context relates to myself individually right now. My great-grandparents moved from India to Indonesia 100 years ago. And when I read these scriptures, it is my ancestors speaking in the land I live in today. So it is a great, great personal connection to me, to my own roots, to my own ancestors, while being at the same time localized in the context of Java or in the context of Bali. So I really do see the ancient scriptures as almost my own ancestors talking to me, giving me the guidance of how I can live my everyday life, being in between the two cultures. We have a lot of these texts, and they're written in the localized language of Kawi or in Old Javanese, as well as in Sanskrit, two languages which I'm familiar with, and two languages which are coming from two different contrasting cultures and islands, but have united to form one text, to unite to form one worldview. And I see that I wear that spectacle. I am that worldview. I am a combination of my Indian ancestry, as well as a combination of my living history here in Indonesia, being born here, being brought up here, speaking the language, and being Indonesian 100%. And I am in between these two cultures just as much as these texts are. So when I study these texts, even though they might be in the past, I very much feel that it is me living today in the present. And I teach Indonesians, I teach Balinese, I am a lecturer on Hindu theology, and I even teach on platforms such as TikTok, which only gives me like 4 minutes of time to discuss philosophies that are ancient. And I really do see how sometimes it can be so confusing to connect with the past because they're using a different language, because they're using different analogies. But then when we use new analogies, when we reword it for the Gen Zs, when we just make it shorter and more fun and concise, people get it. Because in essence, we are human beings talking about the human experience. We are trying to interact with time, which in the scriptures is non-different from God. Whether it's Buddha, whether it's Shiva, whether it's Krishna, God is time, and time is God. And when we're reading these scriptures, we actually do see our interaction with it in our everyday lives. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Darma, silakan. Kalau lebih nyaman dengan bahasa Indonesia, pakai bahasa Indonesia aja biar saya.
Jadi sebenarnya ada banyak konsep tentang waktu.
There are many concepts regarding time.
Dan ada beberapa sumber yang berbicara tentang waktu, contohnya Sara Samucaya.
There are many sources that talk about time.
Ya.
One of them is what he mentioned.
Sara Samucaya. Di Sara Samucaya disebutkan cara untuk menjadi waktu. Jadi tujuan kita sebenarnya untuk mempelajari waktu itu bukan untuk mengetahui, not to know, tapi menjadi waktu, to be color, to be time.
So in this ancient text, the purpose of studying time is not to know more about it, but to become it, to become time.
Ya. Lalu bagaimana caranya untuk menjadi waktu?
So how do we become time?
Santi Parwa mengatakan ketahui kualitasmu.
So Santi Parwa said, know your qualities.
Ya. Kemudian lakukan tanggung jawab.
And then do your responsibilities.
Jadi dengan begitu kala seolah hilang, jadi lenyap.
And so kala itself will vanish.
Dan berbeda lagi dengan Sutasoma, cerita dari Sutasoma.
This is in contrast to what Sutasoma shows us. Yeah.
Sutasoma bilang jangan melawan kala.
Sutasoma said, do not try to battle kala.
Jadi kita harus ikhlas dan menyerahkan diri bukan karena kalah, bukan karena lemah, tapi karena kuat.
Okay. So we need to accept whatever it is, and we need to let ourselves be defeated, not because we are weak, but because we are strong.
Jadi tujuan untuk belajar kalah bukan hanya mengetahui tapi menjadi.
So the essence is the real purpose of studying time is to be time.
Okay, and Sugi, you want to respond to the question about that generational trauma, which is, I believe it's a very important question. How can we be fixated on the present without acknowledging that there is a brutal past that will forever harm us? And from Rafi perspective, things that happened in the past will surely and certainly affect our karma in the future. Silakan.
When we experiencing the present time doesn't mean that we need to forget the past. Forgetting is something impossible. So through understanding the present, you can understand the past. Because even though we have chance to create our future, we can so many variables of creating the present, like us being here, who here is being here. If we consider what's happened here is a good thing, then how many variables of life creates the present? Let's talk about 1995, for example, the massacre. I talked to my dad. Yeah? So I asked my dad, where did you have been during that time? So he had a great trauma about what's going on during 1960s, 1965, 1967. Now, I asked my grandfather as well during the Dutch colonial period, because he was being haunted by Dutch colony. He was an activist and part of the resistance group. And my grandmother had really had bad experience. My grandfather kept another friends, his friend's wife, 7 wife, at our house, and he had to admit that the women are all his wife, and the other man is in the jungle, and I think the Dutch. So he had really bad experience. He had to putus his status, because of the torture by the Dutch colonial forces. Yeah, and he passed me a really nice experience of understanding past, because the past is the past. Yeah, of course we have power. We think that we have power to create future, but we need to think that how many variables we need to create a better life. And if something happened in the past, I learned from so many veterans of 1942 during the Japan's occupation in Indonesia, because my grandfather always lived together with my grandfathers. The past is the past for them. They keep meditating and they keep praying and they keep pass the knowledge of time for me. And actually, because Darma already and Jai already mentioning the cyclic time, yeah. This is the ticker, the way we calculate our times, yeah. Time is cyclic because time is landscape of karma. So without the landscape, karma would cannot be sidri, cannot be present. So time gives us chance to do something. This calendar is based on the seedling and plants and agricultural time. Everything is cyclic. Yeah, even my grandfather, two of them, he didn't remember his birthday, but remember his Kajang Kliwon Mitang, something like that. So this is 210 days cyclic calendar. It contains 1 day week, 2 days weeks, 3 days week, 4 days week, until we have 10 weeks, yeah, different weeks. You only have 7 weeks, just 7 days week. We have only 1 day weeks, 2 day week, 3 days week. 1 week contains 3 days, yeah. So we elaborate everything based on the solar system, planets, and the Earth, yeah. And through understanding this, experiencing time by time, present by present, we are forgetting the past. I try to forget what's bad thing, but forgetting is a bless, yeah? Because by forgetting, is let go is the only way how to cure the past. By remembering, of course, we have so many argumentation that we need to learn or to study histories, that kind of thing. But history never cure your trauma. Let go and taking a break, understanding the present, it's give you harmony with the present. Doesn't mean that I'm saying that you don't need to remember the past, but by remembering the past, you will bring back all the traumas. You can maybe let go the traumas by totally surrender or totally understand the present. I think that's our perspective on esoteric experience. Yeah. So I learned from so many gurus in Bali that remembering is from if something happens in the future very good, then you become romanticizing your life. Yeah. Giving a label that your parents were happy, labeling, yeah, part of the labeling from the past. But by understanding 100% to be here, doesn't mean that you need to forget the past, but at the present time, you bring your life, become solid with the time. Solidity with the time is to give you clear understanding of life. Through clear understanding of the present, I myself believe that I can deal with the past, with the trauma. Of course, many people have trauma. I don't want to do a testimonial thing about trauma. Of course, I have trauma of earthquake in Bali. So my one now I don't want to have a rumah batu, a concrete house and stone house. I don't want to have that kind of house. My house is a wooden house because I have trauma. I deal with that trauma. But through imagining that earthquake going to come in the future is very like bring a pain that I don't experience yet. So dealing with the future of trauma, it's not actually dealing with the past. It is dealing with your imagination that the pain going to come again. So it is about how to deal with your imagination, that the trauma will come again, or maybe another trauma, another blessing will come. But then by comparing that I had a trauma in the past, so by remembering the past, that I maybe have another trauma, something like that. So I stick on time, the present time, at the present moment, because through being a present, that I have a gift of present of life. The present of life is only when we are really present at the present time. The other is only imagination, and the other is only remember, remembering the past, imagining the future. And this is being with you, with him, and talking heart to heart with you is the present of the present moment, the gift of the time. I would like to share and invite you to enjoy the gift of the present time here. And while enjoying the present time, that you can be more mature in understanding what's going on in the past. And not to be scared or deprived of the past.
Last question. The gentleman over there. No, the one in the front. Yes, you, sir.
If you talk about some of the ceremonies, songs, rituals, or mantras that people might say, or that people might say, to think about understanding words.
Ravi?
Well, there is this one really interesting verse from the Bhagavad Gita. It's not really a verse, it's actually just a sentence. Kalo Asmi, time I am. And it's also used in the movie Oppenheimer, time I am the great destroyer of the three worlds. And I think that's just a really beautiful mantra that really tells us about time. But I believe the two of them have more elaborations on how it lives with the everyday rituals. Obviously, we have rituals based on the human life. We have rituals based on the subak, or based on the rice fields, or harvest. We have rituals based on the moon. So we have many different circular rituals happening simultaneously.
Oke, Darmo, ritual di Bali yang terkait dengan konsepsi waktu.
Ya semua ritual di Bali ya ada konsepsi waktu karena berasal dari perhitungan waktu tadi.
All rituals in Bali are based on or about time because they are calculated. They came from the calculations of time.
Yeah. Basically, the ini
Tikar.
This is Tikar, the traditional calendar, the physical manifestation of Balinese concept of time, and all ritual in Bali, religious ritual, must abide by the principle of Tikar. So the auspicious days in Bali, Luasa Ayu, is dictated by the Tikar. So basically the whole cycles of ritual in Bali, be it in the agricultural rituals, man focus, rite of passage, all dictated by the auspicious day, which dictated by our concept of time. Sugi, mau ada yang tambahin?
Yeah, we have a lot of tables and manuscripts like this here to understand the time. Yeah. This is just, I have a 100 table, how to understand. The table look like really simple, but actually each symbol or create have their own text, how to understand time. Yeah. And like Ravinjay say that we have a cycle of life. For example, mulai lahir, birth and death, 3 months, 6 months, naik bajang, puberty period, and awiwahan, the marriage, yeah, and the biksu. If you become a priest, then after you got married, you have to pass the biksu period, the biksu terms, and then your life must be end. So you by the death, the time of death, and we have so many manuscripts and mantras of how to celebrate the death of time, the time of death. We have so many song and composition about how we celebrate Pawiwahan, marriage, yeah. And now, especially this week, if you go around Bali, so many wedding ceremonies, and you will find bamboo with the decoration, nice decoration. Just enter any houses, they will welcome you, even though they don't even know you. They will treat you with a good food. So welcome to Bali.
This ritual is interesting because in Bali, the auspicious day for wedding, for birth ritual, for marriage, is fall on the same day with the auspicious day for carrying out cremation. So this cycle of life, this cycle of time, very much dictate the way of life of Balinese. So we reach the end of our panels. Please, a huge round of applause to our three speakers.